Ask the tough questions. Is this retreat insured? Hello, dreamers, believers, and bucket list retreaters. Welcome back to the Bucket List Retreats podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Morgan Murley. We appreciate having you here so much today, especially because today is the official launch of Bucket List Retreats, the podcast. Woo! We could not be more excited than to have the GOAT, the one, the only, the original retreat planner, Sheri Rosenthal, on the podcast. How lucky are we to have Sheri Rosenthal on? This is one busy lady. I ended up taking the retreat blueprint course that she offers in 2015. 10 years ago. And Sheri was doing retreats years before that with Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of The 4 Agreements. If you haven't read it, do so. It's a very short book. It will change your life. And it changed Sheri's. She's going to talk about it in this podcast. It's a beautiful story. And as she talked about it, I realized how much she had woven so much of the 4 agreements into the retreat blueprint program, even though it's very heavy on business. So she does this magical job, really, of marrying woo and business. I can't wait for you all to meet a lifetime friend of mine, Sheri Rosenthal. Let's do retreat news. Have you seen the Kelsey brothers do new news? Well, let's do retreat news. Just 2 quick pieces of retreat news that I ran across. The first one I'm going to read to make sure I get it just right. 2025 highlights a strong rebound in corporate retreats, a surge of interest in religious and spiritual retreats, and the continuing evolution of wellness retreats. It's such a crazy world out there. It is no wonder people are finally taking the time to check in on themselves. And our guest today even talks about it. She says, tailor-made travel industry is projected to hit $500 billion by 2029, and retreats are one of that fastest growing segments. All right. Have any of you read 9 Perfect Strangers or seen the movie with Nicole Kidman? This next bit of retreat news reminds me of that. The horror film Corporate Retreat, starring Rosanna Arquette and Ashton Sanders, began production in 2025, June of 2025. So we have that to look forward to. Let's move on now to retreat reviews. When I first saw this retreat, I thought it was fortuitous since we are having Sheri Rosenthal on the program, and she started retreating with Don Miguel Ruiz in Teotihuacan, Mexico. That is where this retreat is, and I know that that is not very far out of Mexico City. Okay, here we are at the warriorgoddess.com in their events section, and they are talking about a retreat in Teotihuacan. I don't think I'm saying that correctly. October 28th through November 3rd, 2025. It's called an Ancestral Healing Journey and Day of the Dead. Join Heather Ash and the Pyramid Academy team for our annual Day of the Dead power journey and spiritual pilgrimage for ancestral healing. The Day of the Dead is one of the most important days of the year in Mexico, a time of bright, brilliant celebration and ancient ritual that will touch your heart and soul. And then there is a learn more button that you click on. And on the right, they have a beautiful picture in the shape of an arch of some sort of an altar with people. It looks like pictures of people who have passed, and a beautiful candle. So we'll learn more. Go ahead and click on that button. And it takes us to a new website that has a video on it. We won't play the video, but let's learn about the trip. Honor the Dead, Ignite the Living. Hi there, I'm Heather Ash, and I want to welcome you to join me on this ancestral healing journey to Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan, Mexico, during Day of the Dead. Immediately, I am interested because she has put those two things together. I've always wanted to be in Mexico during the Day of the Dead because of the celebrations, the costumes, the rituals, the culture, all just really appeal to me when I'm traveling to a new culture. I love being immersed in it as deeply as I can get, and that's, respectful and responsible. Okay, so click on join the journey if you know immediately that you want to go. Under that, it says, suddenly all my ancestors are behind me. Be still, they say. Watch and listen. You are the result of the love of thousands. Linda Hogan is the author. That's a beautiful quote. Let the ancestors guide you home. Did you find yourself tripping over your own fears and dramas, distracting yourself from your truest heart's purpose, or forgetting about the wisdom and guidance of your ancestors that flows through your bones? Join Heather Ash and the Pyramid Academy team for our annual Day of the Dead Power Journey and spiritual pilgrimage for ancestral healing. Don't do what I do in your head. I don't know if you immediately thought, oh, okay, this is annual. I have time to go. If I can't make it this year, well, I can go next year. That is exactly what I just thought. So obviously I'm interested, but thinking, oh, it's coming up too quickly. If you can make it happen and it is calling to you, consider going. This unique experience will be like no other. We'll be staying at the Dreaming House, a colorful family-run retreat center in Mexico, surrounded by new and close to the heart friends. Okay. And participating in healing and energizing ceremonies each day in one of the most potent sites on the planet. Come dream a new dream. Okay, dreamers. I'm getting really hooked. So now I've scrolled down a bit and there is a picture of a pyramid and several people walking towards that pyramid. And it says, while it is often related to Halloween, since it's right around the same time of the year, the Day of the Dead is an ancient pre-Columbian festival to honor the dead. If you've seen the movie Coco, you know the incredible beauty and importance of the Day of the Dead to Mexico. If you haven't seen it, put it on your watch list. National Geographic writes, the Day of the Dead originated several thousand years ago with the Aztec, Toltec, and other Nua people. I know I'm mispronouncing that. Please forgive me. For these pre-Hispanic cultures, death was like a natural phase in life's long continuum. The dead are still members of the community, kept alive in memory and spirit, and during Dia de los Muertos, they temporarily return to Earth. This 7-day journey, we'll immerse ourselves in transformative ancient wisdom practices, walk the initial path of the ancestors through the pyramids, and experience the healing of honoring and connecting with our beloved dead. I have always wanted to go to the pyramids in Mexico, so marrying that with this retreat sounds really great. What to expect during this experience: meditating and visioning in sacred sites around Teotihuacan, visiting a nearby market to buy flowers, altar items, and immerse in the local Day of the Dead experience, creating individual altars to our beloved dead, ceremonies for healing past ancestral and personal trauma, generating healing circle to cleanse and purify our ancestral lineages. Weather permitting, we will also offer an optional fire walk dedicated to healing our hearts. The energy coming together around this very unique experience is magical and deeply transformative. We would love to have you join us. Don't miss this sacred heart journey to reconnect you with what is most precious, your own eternal light. Come shed the old skin or wiggle out of familiar distractions and claim your wings to soar into the being you are most meant to be. Oops, I think I added the word most. Okay, here comes the interesting part. I always want to know about where I'm sleeping and what I'm eating. 6 nights accommodation, double or triple occupancy, 3 meals a day featuring delicious, healthy, and traditional Mexican food. And they can accommodate special diets. They have ground transportation to and from the Mexico City airport. They have entrance fees included at the sacred pyramid sites, and they have daily practices, teachings, and experiential activities. It says if you are traveling with a friend or family member and are interested in sharing a room with them, please let us know after registration via the survey sent out in our welcome packet. So it sounds like they are so accommodating and they do this every year. I would really want to hop on a call with them and get to know them a bit. It says the only asterisk I see is the price does not include your flights to and from Mexico City. And the investment is $2,097. Payment plans are available. I would really be interested in this if you are wanting to go down to Mexico and get to know the Americas a little better. Thank you for joining us on Retreat News and Reviews. Next, we are getting to the meat of this beautiful podcast where we are interviewing my mentor, my teacher, the goat of retreating, Sheri Rosenthal. Sheri Rosenthal is the CEO and Chief Retreat Strategist at Wanderlust Entrepreneur. And she is the author and teacher of the Retreat Blueprint program that I took in 2015, and she started teaching in 2013, a program, a teacher, a business that has withstood the test of time. And I am proud to call her my teacher, my mentor, my friend. Sheri, I am so happy to have you here today.
I'm so glad to be here, Kelly. I mean, we've known each other for a long time, so it's my absolute pleasure to be here and share with everybody.
That's true. We have known each other for a long time, since 2015.
Yes.
And like I tell everyone, you are the goat of retreat in the retreat world.
I think so. I think I'm one of the oldest trainers. Well, I hate to say that, but I think I'm one of the oldest trainers out there right now.
That's right. You have a lot of knowledge. One of the things we're going to get to is how you have kept in the business for so long. So I want to talk to you about that. But first, you just went on a mastermind cruise retreat to Croatia. I really just have to hear about all that first.
Okay, I'll give you the quick skinny on it. Okay. So I wanted to try something new. Actually, my travel agency, Journeys of the Spirit, has been planning retreats and managing them since 2003. So we have done probably over 1,000 retreats, but I myself have never done one on a yacht.
No.
So I rented a 161-foot private yacht for my group, and I have to say it was the most beautiful retreat I have ever done, and the gals were blown away. Like they were like, I've never experienced luxury like this before. The boat was beautiful.
Wow.
And it's funny because on my sales page, and you know how I am about retreat sales pages, that they really need to be good. I
Hmm.
feel like my retreat sales page was fabulous, but even though there were pictures of the boat and everything was explained, everyone said the same thing. They could not imagine how beautiful it was. And Croatia, of course, is
Right.
stunning. So we cruised from Dubrovnik to Split and back, stopping at different islands and getting off and having fun and having swim stops and jumping into the water, which was crystal clear, crystal
Wow.
clear. It was just every aspect of it was stunning. And I actually invited my parents to come along, which I've
Oh.
never done on a retreat before.
Oh.
However, because of the environment and the boat, they fell in love with my parents, and my parents adopted everybody.
Oh, that's nice. So they had like, your parents are there too, taking care of you. Did
So
anyone
I
get
was taking
sick?
care of them
Yeah. Oh,
more like it because they're older now.
sure, sure. Was it hard for them to get on and off the boat?
My mom did not get off the boat really because she walks with a walker, but she didn't care. I mean, you're
No.
cruising through stunning
Oh,
environments and, when the boat stopped, she did put her feet in the water and she enjoyed that. So she absolutely loved it. My stepdad did too. My husband came along and he was my official helper, and
nice.
everyone got a kick out of him because he's crazy as a loon.
Oh.
Yeah, and so my mom even came in on a couple of the sessions, which was really sweet.
Mm, that is interesting. So just curious, did anyone get sick? That was my first concern. Like when I thought, would I get sick on that?
There's no waves.
Oh, not because it's just so calm and cool in those harbors and
Pretty,
inlets.
pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, in the
Mm.
beginning, it was a little, they had some weather, so it was a little bumpy, but
Hmm.
nothing that I would even take a pill for, and I get seasick. So
Yeah, so do I. I don't always like I've cruised and been fine, but I didn't. I've never been on that size of a ship, but it just looks so beautiful. I was
it
so
was.
jealous. So what a great idea! And if anyone ever wants to take their group on a ship like that, contact Sherry. I'm sure she can set you on course.
Yes, it was amazing. It was amazing. You would love it, Kelly.
I know I would love it. That level of luxury, like, totally appeals to me ever since
Yes.
you took me to Morocco.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. So just to tell everyone, I was able to go to Morocco for the first time. Did I step foot in the country of Africa when I went on a retreat mastermind with Sherry, and you showed us how to do a retreat. We had already done the course. We had discussed it up one side and down the other, but this great retreat was you literally showing us day by day exactly how you're doing it. And our discussions were just so deep and great because we were in the thick of it, of course, in
Yes.
stunning Morocco.
Yes, absolutely. And the people we had on the trip were all lovely. I mean, that
Yeah.
was a good part of it too.
Yes. And that's another thing about retreating, don't you think, is that most of the people that are coming on the retreat are in the same mindset that you usually are.
Yes,
Yes, that's
exactly.
one of my favorite things about it. It's not just a group of your family group that you talked to going on a trip, and you might make it seem as spiritual or whatever, as transformational as you possibly can. But little Bobby is not interested in that. So that's another reason I am such a huge proponent of retreating. I always like to talk about the fun side of retreating. When I say that, does something come to mind?
Um, of the particular retreat that I just took, you mean?
No, just like the fun side of retreating, like when you talk to people about like when you go on retreat and why you go on retreat and
I think for me, I love to see the transformation in people. Even when people plan retreats that they don't feel are transformational, travel is transformational. You're in new locations, new belief systems, different, traditions and things, and you're learning and exploring. And I think that's transformational itself. I love to see the change. And the way people were when they first came on the boat versus when they left.
I
And
bet
how
that was huge.
excited, and their faces are glowing, and they're rested, and they've made new friends, and they're enjoying themselves. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's totally one of my greatest joys too. I know when I took a group to Morocco and we were standing on one of these beautiful places, and the guide was telling us amazing information, and everyone was just so happy and intent at the moment. I just thought, this is what all of this work was for. This moment right here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about your origin journey. I think it is so interesting. You were a doctor when you started going down to Mexico on retreat with Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of the Four Agreements. Tell us about how, when you first read the Four Agreements, and then how that all led you down that path.
Well, actually, I was looking to sell my medical practice. And so I was done with medicine, and I really didn't know what I was going to do next. So I sold everything. I put everything in storage that I wanted to keep. And then I saw this retreat being advertised, going to the sacred site of Teotihuacan, Mexico, where the pyramid, the sun, and the moon was. And I said, okay, this is cool. What's the worst thing that could happen? I like to say I could have eaten a bunch of tacos and sat on a pyramid, but
Right.
that's not what happened. It changed my life. And I really got hooked, and I started studying with Don Miguel. I studied with him for 8 years. 2 of the years I ran his business. So that's how so that was between the year 2000 and 2002. And I ran all of his events, all of his speaking gigs, and all of his retreats. And I went on all of them. So I learned a lot. And that's what really got me into retreats, because it changed my life. I knew where I was going even after that first retreat. I said to myself, I love this. I want to teach this material. And that was my first evolutionary piece along the way. And so I opened my travel agency, Journeys of the Spirit, in 2003 for my own retreats, so they would be legal for seller of travel law.
Right.
And then people started asking me to manage their retreats. And so I did.
I love that.
And then in 2014, I started Wanderlust Entrepreneur to train retreat leaders how to design, price, promote, and monetize their retreats safely and legally. And I did that because I was seeing in my travel agency that they didn't know how to do this, and they kept, canceling retreats, which was really frustrating for our travel company. So that's how that came to be.
You were able to transition from practitioner to teacher. Can you tell us about doing that? How does one suddenly become a teacher?
No, but it wasn't sudden, Kelly, because when I was in medical school, I was a TA for the physiology and biochemistry labs. So I was teaching then. And then I ran a surgical residency program that I had started myself. So I have been doing that for years. And I can tell you it's a lot scarier teaching someone surgery than it is teaching them about retreats.
Well, I just had a light bulb go off, and no wonder you do such a meticulous job on this retreat program.
Exactly.
Well, it really is like a college course on retreating. It could be a college course on retreating.
It could be.
I could easily see that, coming to fruition throughout colleges that are teaching hospitality already, because retreating is getting to be such a huge part of hospitality.
It really is. Huge, huge, huge.
Sheri, let's talk about retreating and organizing retreats. And let me just ask you, I know there's so many aspects that go into finding a venue, but can you just tell me what makes a good retreat venue?
Okay, so for me, a good retreat venue is one that on their website, it's very simple to see how many rooms they have, how the beds are set up in the room, what is included. Like if they have a one sheet that they could
Mm,
give to a retreat leader that has everything, it makes it a
yes.
lot easier than having to keep emailing them, getting that information. So a retreat host who has really thought about what are those same questions that the retreat leaders ask over and over again so they can send them that one sheet and then everything's answered. You know how much it is, you know how many rooms, you know how many beds, you know how the beds are set up. Either your group is going to fit in there or they're not. So that is number one when they are retreat focused, on the retreat
Uh-huh.
leader. How can they help them? How can they make it a success? Do they have some different experiences that they can offer the retreat leader so the retreat leader looks good? Like there's some really special activities that they can offer because of the connections the retreat venue has. That's
Exactly.
wonderful.
Yes,
So
just make it as easy on the retreat leader as absolutely possible.
exactly.
And you're going to know that as soon as you start dealing with them. You're going to learn so much just by the emails, the responses.
Just from the website, Kelly,
Yeah.
because if I go on that website and I can't figure out how many rooms and the bed's set up, I'm gone. I don't even want to bother
No.
because you wasted my time. And
Yes.
that is the relationship from the get-go. You wasted my time.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
a no-go for me.
I love that, which is, I would like to talk about retreat length with you, how long to have a retreat, and what is a retreat, what you can call a retreat. I love
Sure.
your take on it.
Okay. So, for me, a retreat isn't like a live event from the stage or a workshop.
No.
Because retreat by nature means to go within. So there needs to be some kind of time between learning and lounging and integration times. So this is all very important. It's the formulation that's
Yes.
key. And also that the theme of the retreat matches the location and the activities, which you don't have to worry about when you're doing an event in a hotel. But for example, if you were a speaker and you wanted to do a speaking training, you could do it in a hotel and have
Mhm.
people get in front and practice their speech. But you could also, if you were doing like a speaking retreat kind of thing, you could go to Europe and rent an amphitheater where they're out in this amazing environment, which takes the experience to a whole nother level. So that's one of the main differences for me. As far as the length of time, it really depends on our ideal client. For example, if you deal with new mothers who need, an escape for a weekend, yeah, you might get them local for a weekend, but are you going to get them for a 10-day retreat in Bali, let's say, if they were coming from the US? No. That's
No.
not going to happen. You're never going to fill that retreat.
Right.
Do you have women who are over 50 and they have more time on their hand and the kids are grown and they really want to explore and have a good time? Then yeah, maybe you could do a 10-day to 2-week. And I've seen people do month-long getaways in that case. So it really
Yes.
depends on your ideal client, what they want and what they need and what they can do. And also the affordability of it. Like, again, if we're talking about new mothers, they have a lot of expenses. So something sweet and inexpensive would be great. Whereas, somebody who like is my age, right? So I'm in my late 60s. I don't want to share a room. And I'm not sharing a bed with someone I don't know. Like, I don't know, a 20-year-old might do that, but no,
No.
I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. And I want my own room. I want a certain amount of luxury that I feel like I deserve at this point in my life. So yeah, the ideal client determines so much of the details of the retreat.
Perfectly said. The length of the retreat depends on that.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Sheri, let's talk about the ideal guest, the ideal attendee. I have been on several retreats, and I think it's important to have a little bit of an expectation, and I've done several retreats of your retreat attendee. What do you think a good retreat attendee is?
Well, obviously, the more aligned, and normally, from the way that I teach, we always put a qualifying statement under the header, which lets people know right away either they are this person or they are not this person. So, first and foremost, they have to fit into what we're looking for, who that ideal client is. So that is different for every kind of retreat. But when you're clear on who the ideal client is, the person can figure out, like they'll
Yes.
read the qualifying statement. It says, if you are this kind of person, then join me for this trip where we're going to be doing X, Y, and Z. And either that works or it doesn't. Now, once you've qualified them, then there's the energetics. Who are you calling in from the words on your trip page? Because I consider them magic and they call in the perfect people. I also speak to every single person before a trip because I want to see their vibe. I've done many trips where I didn't, and I got a PETA on the trip, a pain in
Yes.
the arse. And we don't want PETAs.
No.
So, to the best of our ability, we want to have people who have the joy and the excitement and the willingness to show up at the retreat for themselves and for others. So, it's just how you interview them and see what are their expectations, what are they looking for, what do they hope to walk away with, and if there's not alignment with that, then they're not a good choice for the
I'm
retreat.
That's perfect. And I would caution anyone that if you sign up for a retreat and you don't hear from them, they don't reach out to you immediately and want to meet you and get to know you, that might be a little bit of a red flag
Uh,
because you want to know them as much as they should want to know you. Yeah.
exactly, Kelly. I
Yes. Yeah.
agree.
Okay, Sheri, I remembered this part in the retreat blueprint course, which we are going to talk about, or it's the retreat blueprint program.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
okay. And I remember actually getting quite scared during this portion where you were like, are you retreat leader material? Are you someone who can remain calm? Can you weather the storm? Can you talk to a retreat attendee who's not cooperating and bring them back? And, are you that person? I really took a moment to dive deep into that and think, I'm a excitable Aries. I'm kind of a crazy girl. And I thought, am I qualified? Am I qualified? So talk to me about that.
Well, it's so funny because I just finished writing a blog post on this exact
Oh,
subject. Yeah, you'll see. It'll come out in the email.
okay.
But here's the thing. Boundaries that we set on the retreat are to help hold that energetic container so that people feel as safe as possible and
Right.
held and loved and appreciated and acknowledged. And so it's really important when you see a possible problem to pull that person aside privately. We never want to admonish someone in front of the group.
No,
That's just really poor
exactly.
leadership.
Yes.
But to pull them aside and just have a conversation with them and talk to them about what you're seeing and what that means. Also, I believe in setting strong boundaries even before the retreat begins. So I always have a meeting with my group ahead of time where they introduce each other and we talk about the trip rules. So they know what the rules are. They know what's appropriate in communication and how we communicate. And then to reiterate that during the trip. And if somebody is getting out of hand or out of line and energetically, affecting the group negatively, to pull those people aside. Many people are afraid to do that because they don't want to rock the boat, or they have a belief about confrontation. So they're afraid,
Yes.
but it isn't really confrontation. It's
No.
communication. And it's really taking the time to find out why your person is acting out in this way. And one thing I learned from Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements is it's not your job to take your attendees personally.
Yes.
They're going through something. It's your job to be curious and find out what is going on and how you can help them through that. So that is my perspective. So anybody can be a facilitator as long as they keep strong, loving boundaries. Boundaries shouldn't come from fear. They need to come from love and support. So when you're coming from love and support in that way, and people can feel it, they're more open to have that conversation with you. But every once in a while, you're going to get somebody who's just not, doesn't play in the sandbox well, even if you thought they were in the beginning and they talked all the right things, and then they came on the retreat and then they were a problem.
Yeah.
I have dismissed people from a retreat before where I said, one person on one trip turned out to be an alcoholic, and I had to say to them, if you drink during this trip from this point forward, you're out. You can keep your room, you can do whatever you want, but you cannot attend this retreat or do any of the activities with us.
That's right, because you're protecting the group.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that was one time. Another time, I had somebody who, was really sweet on the call and then showed up and started screaming at me. Okay, you don't scream at me.
No.
Okay, that's
Yes.
a boundary.
Yes.
You can talk to me if you're unhappy about something, and I will do my best to do whatever you need, solve whatever problem you have. If you scream at me, you're out.
Yes.
And I said to her, this room is yours for the week. You are now no longer in this retreat. I have no tolerance for that.
Well, I think it's really cool or almost miraculous, dare I say, how you studied the Four Agreements before writing the course, the program. And I can see you, as you talk about it, how it influenced the program.
Absolutely, because my team, my coaches are all Four Agreements people, almost all of them.
Yes.
So it's the basis of my business. It's a core value in our corporation. So
it all makes sense. It really does, because you do such a good job in the course of teaching how to be a business person while running an emotional, group, or, all of those things. So you marry it beautifully together. And I love that part about it.
Thank you, Kelly.
And so what do you consider, here's a big question, your biggest accomplishment and your biggest failures in the retreat space?
As far as biggest accomplishments, let's start there. It really thrills me all these years to think I've trained so many retreat leaders, and then they've gone out, done retreats, and changed lives. And just this little course, well, it's not that little, but just this course alone has had ripple effects through so many thousands and thousands and thousands of lives. And yes, a lot of times we'll get feedback and testimonials from people, but then there are the people who don't, but still have gone out and changed lives. We just don't hear about it. And so that's kind of special, because I haven't had any kids. So my businesses that I've had are my children and my legacy. Yes. And I feel like we've done a good job there. So that's something that makes me very happy. Now, as far as biggest failures, I actually don't. Okay, let me take a step back. The word failure in Four Agreements world is actually not an impeccable word.
Okay.
Because you can't really fail. You can only take actions that don't get you the outcome you expected. So that's
Perfect.
an expectation issue.
Yes.
So there have been many times I had expectations in my life and my business, and I've come to understand that you can take many actions in life. And of course, you have an expectation, but then you have to let it go once you take the action because there's nothing more you can do.
And do you find that for me, it just seems to open a new pathway and it'll be like, well, this didn't work. Let's explore our opportunities. So that's my favorite
Ex-
part of,
exactly.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
100% correct. If you
yeah.
know you're taking that and transmuting it in a much healthier way, because if this is what happens to most heart-based entrepreneurs, that this is the first time they're having a business, they've always been an employee, they take actions in their business with the expectation that every action they take is going to have a positive expected outcome, but it doesn't work that way. I cannot tell you how many things I have promoted, put out there, tried that didn't work. And then you're
Yeah,
like, okay, that didn't work. Not because I'm a bad person or
yeah.
something's wrong with me. So it's not about internalizing that and beating yourself up with it. It's simply about looking at the facts. What happened? What actions did I take? What actions didn't work? Why didn't they work? And then pivoting and doing something else. So that's how I personally see it. And that allows me to be very aggressive and brave in my
I love
business
that.
because I'm not
Yes.
afraid of failure because I never fail.
Right. It's always a learning experience. It's always
Exactly.
a level up too, I think. It seems like, okay, I'm
Exactly.
gonna level up from here and get it where it needs to be.
Perfect.
Okay. And so really you've already answered this question, but after nearly 25 years, you're still here in this retreat space. What has kept you in the world for so long? I already know, but what has kept you in the world for so long, and has the journey evolved you?
Well, every retreat that I do changes me. I'm always learning, even after all of these 1,000 retreats we planned and personally gone on. And life is a learning every day, right? I mean, things are always happening that we're challenged by, and we're constantly learning and growing. But I love this world. I love the people. I love the creativity. Like, for
Mm.
example, a lot of people, when they think retreat, they think of either yoga retreat or church retreat, spiritual retreat. But we have people doing all kinds of retreats. They could be knitting retreats. They could be wine retreats. They could be, we had a couple who lost a child. And so they wanted to do retreats for grieving parents who have lost children. We have naked men's retreats. We have, you name it. If there's a group of people, you can have a retreat around it. So that's
That's right.
exciting to me. I love
Yes,
the
it is
creativity.
exciting. Yes. So I love your excitement and I love that it's kept you so involved after all these years. It just goes to show that it's really something fun and interesting that can keep you active if you're really interested in retreating or
Yeah.
running retreats. So that leads me to talk about the retreat blueprint program I took in 2015. I had your gal Renee confirm that for me because I thought it was the 2014, but nope. Anyhow, so many aspects of the course that I love, it, including that, well, it's like I mentioned, a college level course. You cover every aspect of retreating, uh, and you talk on it much better than I do. But what I really especially love about it is that you have continued to be around. I get to retake the course each and every year if I want to. If I feel like, oh, things have changed a bit. I know Sheri's adding to the course this year, maybe in AI writing or whatever. So I'm going to be listening to her, and you have your Tuesday calls. So uh, I wanted to just just to have you to give a quick introduction into the program
Sure.
and let me comment on it.
All right.
Okay.
So the Retreat Blueprint program, as you mentioned, it goes deep into the design of retreats. It goes into pricing. We have a proprietary pricing sheet that it's an Excel sheet that has formulas in it. So that way it shows you how you should be properly pricing your retreat and, for how much.
And if you don't mind me jumping in real quickly, because lately I've heard a couple of different uh, people that teach retreating talk on that out in the wild. And I've heard them mentioning that, those people that have been around for so long, they don't teach profitability. And I'm like, oh, contraire. Like Sheri has taught profitability from the get-go.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
No, of course, if you are going to price a retreat properly, you are going to have the amount that you want to make on the retreat. So profitability is the bottom line of our Excel sheet. So yeah, that's
right.
absolutely absurd. But all of that is covered along with legalities. So we also, as a bonus, we give our legal forms that you can take to your lawyer, but it saves you thousands of dollars of having them made for scratch. And they are very in depth, and they are very specific for retreats, which you won't really find elsewhere. So it's a wonderful program. But the key is, because anyone can create online modules with teaching. The thing about it is we have forever access to coaching. So twice a month, we have live 2-hour coaching calls, and you can ask whatever you want. We also you can ask a question in the Facebook group. Also, forever access, lifetime access to coaching, period. So we're not a cheap, $297 course, because that's actually not going to give you legal forms that you need, or proper pricing, or legal advice and all of that. I mean, we're not lawyers, but we know the basics, and you can check it with your lawyer.
Sure.
But it's the most comprehensive course out there. It's incredibly robust, and you will always be supported. So like you said, you joined in 2014. What course do you own that allows you to have coaching now in 2025? If you wanted to come back, come in the Facebook group. Excuse me.
I'll take a drink too.
Post your new sales page and have us review it. Go over your pricing worksheet. We will do anything. We'll look at your contract, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite parts about the program is the community. It's a constant community that you can, dive into and ask questions. And you don't feel so alone if this is your first retreat. First of all, if you take the course, you're planning on taking people on your first retreat, and you take this course, you're going to feel like you know what you're talking about. And your attendees can feel like, oh, I've got someone who's all over everything because she's just, taken this course.
Yes.
And that's one thing I tell everyone. Oftentimes I get asked the same thing. Do you teach? And I'm like, no, I don't, because it's already been done so perfectly. And, I always push them over to the course. But as a businesswoman myself, I had already been in business at least 25 years when I met you and took the course. So, of course, I had a budget, and my budget, my Excel spreadsheet came from just putting together girls' trips and how we were all splitting the money. That's really how it all started. But as it grew into a business and I had drawn up a budget when I started taking your course, and I was realizing that this is exactly fitting into how I want to see it. I want to see the profits. I want to know exactly how much it's going to be. And everyone always that works with me, they always like, oh, there goes Kelly off on the budget again.
Yeah. Yeah, but
But I'll be like, oh, that's not in the budget. Or yeah, I think the budget can afford that.
yeah, exactly. It needs to be there. So
Yeah.
the program is very comprehensive and it covers everything, including like tips about facilitating. And we have a large number of people who are newbies, but also who are experienced, as well as people who manage retreats and plan them and retreat venues. Experienced retreat leaders always learn things in the program they never even knew. I get
Right.
this all the time. Sheri, I've been doing
Absolutely.
this 20 years and I have learned something in every module. And that is because, we make sure there's material for newbies and for experienced people in the course. And so you don't want to do things incorrectly. So many retreat leaders do a retreat and they're not a legal business entity. They have no legal forms. They are uninsured. They don't know the law. And they're setting themselves up for a problem if somebody ever sued them. And
Yep.
even if you're doing a spiritual retreat and you think
Yes.
all your people are loving and nice, what about their husband or partner or wife or cousin who eggs them on to say this person was wrong and you have a lawsuit? Or
Yeah.
yeah, you can't, that's not, like, I would never go on a retreat with somebody that wasn't a legal entity. I would have to check that out. I would have to make sure they were insured and that it was okay for me to travel with them. And
That's
that is a
another. Yeah,
big issue.
it's a big issue, and it's a great question for attendees to ask
Yes,
of
exactly.
their, of the retreat leader. Is the retreat
Absolutely.
insured? All the information that I learned from you on the legalities, the forms that you gave us through
Hmm.
the course,
Yep.
I've used them all these years, and of course, adapted it to the retreat, but really
Right.
intact, and it lets people know that you're serious too. Like when you send them those forms, they know, okay, well, she's got all this information on me because she, is wanting to know who she's taking on retreat, and she's getting
Yes.
that from everyone as well. So that was another huge portion of the retreat course that I loved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all of this is really important to come across as somebody that a person feels safe to travel with, especially if the retreat is international. I
Yes.
think that's very important. As the course has gone on, Kelly, we've added so much to it. And one of the other really nice things is even though you bought the course back in 2015, you have all the upgrades. So, we're on
Yes.
a new platform right now. We're on Experientify, so
Yes.
it's really fun, and we added an AI component for the ideal client avatar work.
Oh, that is
So,
exciting.
and for the sales page, we have AI, so it creates the whole thing for you. So, yeah, we've done a lot over the years, but again, because you have forever access to everything, you can go in there and
I
do
love
it
that.
again,
I'm
but
gonna dive in.
faster. Oh, the Retreat Blueprint course is for utter newbies. They can have nothing in place, nothing, not even know who they want to run a retreat for. We will help them with that. And then it's also, like I said, for people who are absolute experience, like they could have run 20 or 30 retreats and they want to up level. So the retreats aren't filling fast enough. Maybe they're not doing a sales page in a way that really captivates people now.
Mhm.
Again, retreat venues join us all the time and travel professionals as well as retreat planners. So any of those people do very well in the course.
Yeah, for me, it was like a full body hell yes. Because I know in business, it takes tools.
Yeah.
And that if you are going to run a retreat and take money from people, this is the ultimate tool, in my personal opinion.
Well, because it has all the forms they need, like
Yes.
media forms and registration forms and this kind of form. We have like so many forms in there. I can't even tell you what all the forms are because every time someone asks us to create something, it goes into the course and then there's another form. So,
That's right.
yeah, there's
Okay. And we
plenty.
will, of course, have a link in the show
Yes.
description, both on Spotify and on YouTube. But Sheri, thank you so much for spending the afternoon with me. It's been too long.
Yes. I know. I love it. And it's my absolute pleasure, Kelly. It really
Okay.
is. And it's so fun to share this with everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye. Friends, I couldn't thank Sheri enough for being on the podcast and launching it with me, and having you here with us makes it so much sweeter. I hope that we have given you inspiration today on hosting a retreat or going on retreat. Both of those are magical things that I highly recommend. Sheri left us with two amazing gifts that I get to share with you. The first is so big. I don't think you'll be able to find this deal anywhere else but through this link in the show description. And that is $1,000 off the retreat blueprint program that I took in 2015. But today it is so much more robust, even though back then it was so robust. The things that you learn in this course and the actual products that you get out of the course, like the forms for your retreat attendees to fill out, that keeps everything legal between you and your retreat attendees. And follow the link below. You can read all about all about it there, of course, and follow Sheri on all her socials if you want to learn a little bit more about Wanderlust Entrepreneur and the Retreat Blueprint. She's also leaving a link to a 4-video course on retreat building in the link below. I haven't even got to watch it yet to get all of the juicy information you are going to get out of that course. And knowing her, it's probably jam-packed. Hey everyone, we are so excited that our new website is launching right now here at the same time as the podcast. It would be our joy and honor if you would go check it out at bucketlistrretreats.com. There you're going to find all of the information about our retreats, about our services in building retreats. You'll have links to all of the freebies that are sprinkled all throughout the website. You can check out our gallery on past retreats. You can check out our blog, and we put a lot of really good links in there to things that would help you on going on retreat and holding a retreat. Of course, you can learn about me on the About Me page. And if we have tickled your fancy in retreating, check out our Southeast Asia retreat in February of 2026. It is open to everyone. It is going to be a journey of a lifetime. This 18-day journey, starting in Vietnam, going all through Cambodia, and ending in Thailand, will hit so many bucket lists. You're just going to be checking it off the whole time. If that sounds like something interesting to you, check it out on the website or set up a call. I would love to talk to you all about it. And one of the funnest things on the website is our new store. I have wanted to have a retreat type store since day one, and now we have it. We're offering some gorgeous retreat wear and fun hats, bathing suits, active wear, all things that you would want to be wearing on retreat. Of course, everything I picture on retreat is lightweight, beautiful. And of course, I'm always looking for natural fabrics like cotton and linen. So perfect in those humid climates. And doesn't everyone look nice in cotton and linen? Thank you so much for joining us today on the big launch. It was such a thrill for us to have Sheri Rosenthal on the podcast. I know that you all will love everything she had to say about retreating. And if you cannot get the idea of retreating out of your head, you have got to take this course. You will be so set and ready to go. Your attendees will know that you are professional, you know what you're doing, and this is going to be a monumental journey in their life. Thank you for being with us on the podcast today, and thank you for checking out the website at bucketlistretreats.com. We are tickled to have it up and running for you to see everything that we have to offer and all the services that we do. Friends, both Sheri and I hope that you got something out of today's podcast. We really appreciate you being here and feel honored when you like and share the program with people that you think need to hear all about what we talked about on today's show. And if you have time, comment, please. We'd love to hear your stories about retreating, where you're at. If it's something you're interested in, we want to hear all about it. Thanks again, everyone. Until next time, keep retreating, keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Bye.
I love you, Gaga.
I can see a new horizon coming through the dawn. We're gonna find a new beginning in all that's come and gone. Say goodbye to cloudy Mondays, say goodbye to rain. I'll hold you in my arms until we both feel safe again. Somewhere I know there's a silver lining. Somewhere I know the light is shining through. We'll keep on searching up in the gray sky. Somewhere I know there's a patch of blue. Sometimes it can be hard to see beyond the distant past, but we can't walk forever on this broken glass. I know that you've been hurt before, and baby, so have I. We gotta learn to keep on living